What's good, Internet? My name is Attack Slug, and welcome to Monday Night Raw reactions. As always, let me know what you thought down in the comments below, and I will tell you what I thought of Raw for the week of June the 6th, 2016. We started off with a very interesting promo with all 6 competitors for the Money in the Bank ladder match, all standing on top of ladders, or in Chris Jericho's case, sitting on top of a ladder and going back and forth about who's going to win this stuff. And honestly, it was pretty well done. Each guy kind of contributed their own stuff here in a unique way. I thought it was funny that Dean Ambrose kept saying, "Come on, guys, let's just fight. Like, this is how this works, right?" Kind of, breaking that fourth wall a little bit. I didn't like Alberto Del Rio encouraging the crowd to chant "C." Like, as a heel, you never want to encourage the crowd to chant for you. You're a heel. They're supposed to hate you. I did like Chris Jericho being kind of going into the whole "I'm from Winnipeg, you idiot" deal. That was funny. And yeah, so overall, that part of the segment was well done. And then, it's the Mac Militant, holla holla, Teddy Long shows up, because apparently, I guess we're going to go into a thing now where we're going to have previous general managers appearing for one reason or another as we move into the eventual reality of SmackDown being live and needing a general manager. So, obviously, the longest running SmackDown GM of all time, I'm pretty sure, Teddy Long shows up. And he doesn't immediately do what you want him to do, which is immediately announce the tag team match, playa. But he announces some weird, disqualification match, fatal 4-way, 6-pack challenge. He was confused. He was a confused old man. Anyway, out comes Steph, and Steph's like, "Nah, Teddy, that's okay. You can get to stepping." The thing with Steph is that Steph is never going to get any kind of consequence for her action. At least that's what it seems like. And that is kind of the most frustrating part of her character. But what I do like about Steph is she always wants to do that mom dance. That's always really funny. But she makes a bunch of singles matches for this episode of Raw between these guys who were in this Money in the Bank match at Money in the Bank. So, the first of these is this match, which is Cesaro versus Chris Jericho, who had an excellent match. And man, it is so nice to see a clean victory in one of these matches. And Cesaro goes over with a sharpshooter, taps out Chris Jericho. That was good to see. So, on this episode of Raw, in your build-up to your world title match featuring Roman Reigns, who's your champion, versus Seth Rollins, who is your challenger, neither Roman Reigns nor Seth Rollins were on Raw at all. Except for these video packages outlining the history between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. And let me tell you, these, at least for Rollins, the video package makes him look like a face. It makes you sympathetic towards the guy who never lost the belt in the first place. I'm not sure that was their intention to make him look like a face, but that's kind of what it's doing. And later on, there was a Roman Reigns video package in the same vein, but that video package clearly rewriting history, showing Roman Reigns when he won the belt at Mania and playing crowd cheering noises, which if you watched Mania, clearly not the case. They booed his ass out that fucking building. Stop rewriting history. Anyway, next match was Rusev versus Jack Swagger, hometown boy, Oklahoma. Why is Jack Swagger still employed? I guess they're like, oh god, brand split, we can't fire him, we need somebody big, has an imposing stature, or who was a former world champion, so I guess that's the only reason. Swagger gets counted out. There was Titus on commentary, and Rusev wins, and it kind of really didn't this is what your first feud here is Rusev and Titus. That's not going to be a compelling match, at least in my eyes. Anyway, our next segment was your John Cena promo, who was real mad about getting punched in the mouth by AJ Styles a bunch of times last week and wants an explanation. And obviously out comes Styles, out comes the club. A couple things here. John Cena referring to the club as the Pull It Club. Not the Bullet Club. You legally can't call them the Bullet Club. That is a New Japan trademark. So calling them the Pull It Club, because of course he would, because John Cena thinks that masturbation jokes are hilarious. He of the 5-knuckle shuffle. So of course he'd do that. But that was real dumb. I think John Cena making fun of his own jorts was real funny. And I think John Cena putting himself above Roman Reigns is fucking amazing. Like, Styles made a joke about how guys like Cena, or Cena specifically, buries guys like Styles. Now, I wish he would have gone another step further there. I wish he would have been like, yeah, look what happened to Rusev. Look what happened to Bray Wyatt. Look what happened to Owens. Like, give specific examples. Obviously, they won't do that. But, just that Cena being like, yeah, well, you couldn't even beat Roman Reigns, and then you want to fight me? Like, that is just proving his point that John Cena is the face who runs the place and believes himself to be the top dog in the company, regardless of who is your actual world champion. Anyway, the club gets in to beat up Cena, and out comes the New Day, because obviously the club attacked the New Day last week, and there's some beef there. But dear God, keep John Cena away from the New Day. I want John Cena to exist in his own weird little pocket universe, and not interact with guys who I actually like the New Day. Just don't taint the New Day with that stuff. It's like when they had John Cena and Crime Time. That made Crime Time worse, somehow, because he's John Cena. It's terrible. Anyway, we move on to Enzo and Cass versus the Vaudevillains, and storyline-wise, I can understand why you would have the Vaudevillains attempt to recreate what happened at Payback, where Enzo had that thing with the concussion issue and everything else, but having that make Big Cass go crazy and get disqualified, giving the Vaudevillains the win there, just makes it look like Enzo shouldn't be wrestling, like that he's too fragile to wrestle. Like, that doesn't make that stuff look good. Like, storyline wise, that makes sense, but suspension of disbelief, it gets kind of muddy. Anyway, the Vaudevillains win on the DQ. After that, we had the fact that Teddy Long has not left the building yet, and it was amazing that he had his theme song playing on his phone and was dancing along to it. That was fucking brilliant. But apparently he's got ideas for some tag team matches, playa. And then Steph's like, get the fuck out of here, and she steals his idea, and that is going to set up your fatal 4-way tag team match between New Day, Vaudevillains, Enzo and Cass, and the club for Money in the Bank next Sunday. So, again, no consequence for Stephanie being a complete pain in the ass, heel, whatever. Shane on vacation this week, apparently. So, next match was Del Rio versus Sami Zayn, which was kind of whatever. The finish was dumb. He had to set up for his double stomp in the Tree of Woe twice, and that was never a good finish to begin with, so having to set it up twice because it didn't work the first time is just it takes forever, and it's a dumb finish. Del Rio wins. Alright. Next match, Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose, who had a pretty good, or at least serviceable match, for Raw. It felt like Raw had a lot more promos and video packages than it had actual match time, but yeah, it's Raw most weeks. And Ambrose wins with Dirty Deeds, and then afterwards tries to get up the ladder. Owens knocks it over, whatever. So, we then go to Bob Backlund and Darren Young once again, replaying their SmackDown video package with their... I feel like all those got filmed in the same week, but I will give bonus points to Bob Backlund stealing Darren Young's keys via satellite. You gotta assume they aren't in the same room, I guess. I don't know. They don't actually make it clear, so who fucking knows? Anyway, the next segment was Charlotte, accompanied by Dana Brooke, and she's walking back a little bit the promo that they did with Ric Flair 2 weeks ago, and that's dumb. Like, if you're going to make her a heel character, just go all the way with it. That's kind of the whole point of her being a heel. So saying, oh, well, I only meant you were dead to me professionally. It's walking it back. Like, if you're going to be a heel, be a heel. That's your job. But that brings out Natalya and Becky Lynch. What the hell's going on with Becky Lynch's hair? It's like a monstrosity. It looks terrible. But they kind of tease Dana Brooke not wanting to be with Charlotte, because obviously Charlotte has used and abused everybody who's been on her side, and they kind of tease Dana Brooke going over, but then, oh no, she punches her, and then Becky Lynch is the most ineffectual face ever, tripping over Natalya. This whole segment was just terrible. It was just a shit show from start to finish. Nothing worked here. Hated it. And then we move on. And we move on to the Shining Stars, who had not had a match since their repackaged debut match. Like, why are you airing vignettes for a tag team that you depackaged, brought back, had them work one squash match, and haven't worked it since? And now they've been demoted from actual vignettes that were in Puerto Rico to being in front of a goddamn green screen. Like, seriously, who gives a shit? I can only imagine they're being kept around because of the upcoming brand split and having to have individual tag teams on each show. I don't know if they're going to bring back 2 versions of the tag belts. Who knows? All I know is I don't know why they're still airing these vignettes, because literally nobody cares. Nobody. Anyway, moved on to tag teams that I do care about. Breezango, who are still awesome, are now wearing matching attire like an actual tag team, which is great. And then this match was Tyler Breeze versus R-Truth. And yes, the Golden Truth, still a thing. Now, I want to bring up one very important point, important to me anyway, in that when Golden Truth come out and R-Truth tells you that it's a remix and starts rapping different words to the same beat he's always used for the past 15 years, outside of that brief time where he had that Get Crunk song with Eve. But typically, as someone who's made music before, I haven't done it in a while, but as someone who's done songs before and someone who loves music, typically a remix, at least in the hip-hop sense, you have either a different beat, and the same words, or you have other artists on the same beat and you expand the track, and that would be a remix. Just having just R-Truth and having the same What's Up beat and then having him rap different words to it is not really a remix in the traditional sense. I don't know. Anyway, that's just a nitpick on my end, that, like, I'm the only one who cares there. Anyway, obviously things devolve here with outsider interference, and then you get the Teddy Long you actually want being like, now hold on a minute, player, gonna have ourselves a tag team match. And then out comes security being like, Teddy, you don't work here, which was real funny. And so I honestly expect next week perhaps to see Big Johnny and People Power, or, you know, Vicky could come out and be like, excuse me, like that. I expect to see that in the lead up to SmackDown going live. Anyway, we get a little thing saying, hey, next week, Ambrose Asylum, which makes no fucking sense because Stephanie canceled the Ambrose Asylum, so why is that happening next week? That's dumb. And then you move on to the main event, which was the Club versus the New Day, but it opens with a brawl that takes out Xavier, who's really impressive, but takes out Xavier with a Styles Clash on the outside, so the match itself was a 3-on-2 affair, and obviously the damn numbers game. The Club wins, but then continues their beatdown on the New Day, and then out brings Triple Juice, John Cena, and, you know, Cena and the New Day stand tall at the end of that match, and just seriously, keep Cena away from the New Day. I like the New Day, and Cena is just kind of the same stale stuff he always does. So, that was Raw. Let me know what you thought. I thought too much talking, not enough action, and we'll see how it goes next week. But until then, and until next time, I'm Attack Slug. More videos every day, and I will see you next time right here on this channel. And I'm out.